Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to another Sree's Global Video Conversation. This is my COVID-19 call, and I am just so honored and delighted that you could be with us. We are live right now on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. Please take a second and tag your friends on all those platforms, or hit share or retweet. We love teachers is this topic, and we all love teachers. So this is going to be your chance to talk to teachers in different countries and just hear from them what they're going through. They are heroes, and we're going to salute them. So please take a minute right now to tag your friends, to share so that everybody is able to join us. My name is Sreenivasan, and you can see that I'm on Twitter at Sree, and I am on YouTube as sreenet. And we're archiving on all these platforms as well as other platforms, but we really want to send you to our YouTube page, and it's sreenet, so you can join us there. I'm also excited to tell you that on our 19th day of our COVID-19 call, we have gotten so much support and love from around the world that we actually have our first sponsor of this session. And the fact that I have a sponsor means that I can get more help and produce a better show for all of you. And a word from our sponsor. Now is the best time to launch your own consistent live stream show during these challenging times. Consumption of live video is up 50%. Join live streaming expert Tim Sohn, co-host of the Tim and Jim Show and Family First Show, starting Monday, April 6th, in his 2-month Survive with Live Video founding members program, along with 6 other professionals who have already signed up. Message Tim with questions by going to his website, SohnSocialMediaSolutions.com. That's SohnSocialMediaSolutions.com, and Sohn is spelled S-O-H-N, and he is Tim Sohn, Timsohn. So thank you so much to Tim Sohn, as well as Tim Sohn's socialmediasolutions.com. Please go there, please visit, and support our first ever sponsor. If you'd like to sponsor, if you'd like to participate as a guest, let us know. This is a global conversation for all of us. I'm so honored that you're here with us today, and so excited to introduce you to our experts and teachers. So without further ado, let me bring them all to you right now. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to go, I guess, in distance from where I'm sitting at the moment. So let's go all the way to London and have Andria say hello. Andria Zafirakou is a teacher in London, and I'm going to have her say hi. Hi, Andria.
Hi, how are you all?
Thank you so much for being here. It's so great to see you. The last time I saw you, you were taking New York by storm. You have won the Global Teacher Prize Award, which is a prize that recognizes teaching globally, gives one K-12 teacher a really nice prize, and among other things, you got to travel and you came to New York. You got to throw out the first pitch at a Mets game. You got to go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art and have a big reception and party in your honor. And those are 2 of just the thousands of places and thousands of ways our lives are different now since we saw you last. So we're very grateful that you're here. And I'm going to ask each of you the same question when I first come to you. How are you? How are you feeling right now?
I am slightly tired because it's now technically 10 o'clock UK time in the evening, but I'm really well, thankfully. I am blessed that things at the moment are very stable at home in my school. So thankfully we're doing well.
Thank you. I'm so glad to hear that. So let's go a little further away from my apartment to Connecticut and say hi to Maureen Tyra, who is a public school teacher in Connecticut. How are you, Maureen? How are you feeling?
Doing very, very well. Glad to be here. Great experience for us all.
And where are you? Sorry, where are you right now?
I am in the music room in my home. I have many children that are being quiet in other rooms for the hour.
How did you manage that? That's pretty cool that you were able to do that.
A good dinner bribe.
Good dinner bribe. I love that. All right. And now, much closer to me, I'm on the Upper West Side in New York. We're going to go over to Queens. You know, I had said to somebody, I'm in the epicenter, but Queens is even more of the epicenter, unfortunately, of the problems around COVID in New York City. And please say hello here to Roberta. Hi, Roberta.
Hi, how are you? We're doing well here in Queens. I live in Sunnyside, so I do always try to adopt the sunnier side of a perspective. We're healthy and we're making it work.
Thank you. And she is Dr. Roberta Lenger Kang, who is director of the Center for Professional Education of Teachers at Teachers College at Columbia University. Before we get to all the other questions, if you can just tell us quickly what it is that the center does and how it interfaces with teachers.
At the center, primarily, we're a professional development and research organization. We provide hands-on, often in-person support for professional development needs K-12 and with other educational organizations. We have about 30 to 50 partnerships each year. Many of those happen right here in New York City, but we also have national and international partners. In fact, I was in China in late November, early December, and so the coronavirus crisis has been very close to my heart throughout the last several months.
And I'm so sorry that you know, I'm sure your friends and colleagues and acquaintances that you met in China who are now affected, though they seem to be bouncing back a lot further ahead because they started ahead of us. Let me bring in some comments from folks. But meanwhile, notice their Twitter handles are on the screen. We want you to follow them at RL Kang, at Maureen Tyra 1, and Andria Zaf on Twitter. So please post, please share your tweets, please comment in Facebook, and we'll bring those comments to you. Always first to show up is my friend Jonathan Borstein, watching in the East Village, south of Union Square. Patricia is watching, former middle school English teacher, watching from Union Square section of New York City. Arlene says, so much respect for teachers, and she's watching from New York. And Jamie is watching from Dutchess County, and she says, connect with me on Twitter and Instagram. So please do. There's her Twitter handle. She's a former guest on the show, folks. So we're also building a community with about 40 speakers in the last 19 days. And we love having people join us. Steve is watching from Philadelphia. If you know a teacher, tag them, tell them to join us, share their comments. We'd love to have you. Steve is sharing his contacts online so you can see it. My dear friend Paula is watching from Tallahassee. She can't hang around because she's still working at 5 o'clock. Mark is watching from Durham, North Carolina, and Calvin, he's watching with Calvin Anderson, and the teacher's on today from New York area. So this is great. And Tim is watching, our wonderful first sponsor. He's on lockdown in Pennsylvania with his iced coffee. Ooh, I could go for some of that. One of the things that's happening, folks, is that people share what they're eating, and I get really hungry because no matter how much food you have, you certainly don't have everything, and you're like dreaming of your first meal after lockdown. And that's certainly something some people are doing. Jamie says, as a current higher ed professional working in admissions, I have tons of love and respect for teachers, professors, and instructors worldwide. And Joe is live from Georgia. Mom in Brooklyn is FaceTiming with my 11-year-old as they make traditional panzerotti. Anybody know what a panzerotti is? I'm not familiar with that, so Joe will have to tell us. Sounds like a delicious Italian dish. And so let's ask Andria first to just give us a sense of what's happening at your school, how your students are coping, and what is the situation in the UK right now generally?
Okay, so at the moment there are still many schools that are still open because what we're doing is looking after the key worker children. So it means that we're trying to run a very reduced skeleton timetable for these particular children of the heroes that are working and supporting the NHS and the delivery drivers. It's quite strange, if you can imagine, the transition that we've had to go to from being always face-to-face in a classroom to now almost teaching behind a screen. And you know, our routine has really and our mindset has changed quite a lot. So there's lots of online learning taking place. Many schools have really got good systems to establish a learning zone whereby students can log in. It's not completely brilliant. I think many schools, this is probably their second week of running this. So there's lots of teething problems that we are having. Obviously, when there's one laptop or a computer in the house and there are 3 children trying to access the internet or their work, there's going to be quite a lot of negotiating taking place there. But the bright side is that we've never had so many parents saying, wow, you're amazing teachers, we miss you. Just because I think people are trying to, people are understanding now that actually, their parents are now going to have to do a big job and start helping educate their kids as well. We're providing their work, but we now need the parents to be there to support and make sure that is taking place as well. But yeah, we don't know when we're going back. There's lots of vulnerability around us, lots of confusion. We're adjusting, but I think it's going to be quite exciting to see what new ideas or new opportunities or new suggestions that we come out once all of this, hopefully very soon, is over.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for what you do. We just love teachers. We always say that, but I think now we appreciate them a heck of a lot more because you are taking care of our lovely children and doing so much more than just educating them. You are growing them for us, with us, and that's really special. Maureen, let me go to you. Share your thoughts on what you just heard and also what's happening at your school.
Well, I have to agree definitely with Andria that there's a long learning curve on this one. We went from being a fortunate school in that our students had one-to-one Chromebooks, but I don't think we were utilizing them in the way we are currently doing so. It was, of course, classroom by classroom, very different, but now we're all using them and it's the only way we have to communicate with the students. And so we're learning a whole lot real quickly. And as Dr. Kang provides so much development and professional help for different educators, I got to give a shout out to Kim Moran. She's our technology integrator at our school. And she has been, I'm sure, inundated with teachers saying, wait, how do we do this now? I remember you told us this at a professional development day, but I didn't really use it. So we're learning as we go in many instances. And it's really been the parents, the community have been just so supportive. We've been very fortunate in that regard. And it's like, once again, it all comes down to relationships, and the best and most important one to us as teachers, I think, is with our students, but seeing those relationships grow to include our greater community, our parents, those are just getting stronger and stronger. And I really am grateful to have that opportunity.
Thank you so much. I want to share with you what I think is a candidate for Tweet of the Year during this crisis. And this is from Shonda Rhimes. I'm sure every teacher in the world has heard about this tweet. And she says, been homeschooling a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old for 1 hour and 11 minutes. Teachers deserve to make $1 billion a year or a week. So let me hear your thoughts on that. Andrea, have you seen that before? Or Maureen, have you heard that?
Haven't, but I will seriously vote for her. So if she can think about running for president, where she's got my vote.
Yeah, absolutely. Maureen, how about you?
That's beautiful. I'll take half that, and I'll still be happy.
And I should also say, Andrea is in a country right now where the heir to the throne has COVID and the prime minister has COVID. So that just adds to the anxiety that I'm sure children are feeling at the moment. Let me bring in Roberta, who is an expert on teaching, as are the others, but also she studies professional teachers. So I'm going to bring in Roberta and to hear your thoughts, not just on the $1 billion, if that's possible, but your thoughts on what has been unfolding before us, all over us, and around us.
Well, I love the Shonda Rhimes tweet, and it reminds me a lot of the sketch that Key and Peele did years ago of the teacher draft. If we treated teachers the same way that we treated sports figures and trying to recruit them for the draft. So equally valuable. Yeah, this is a time. I have 3 children myself, 4, 6, and 13, and I definitely am appreciating the challenges of balancing the work life and the work responsibilities, professional responsibilities, as well as the parenting responsibilities. What we're experiencing is a very unsettling time. We're isolated in that we are sequestering in our homes for the most part, but we're also experiencing something corporately. We're experiencing something globally, and everyone who is alive and making memories right now will remember this time period. One of the things that we'll remember about it is that it was so fast. And I think that that is one of the crucial factors that has been so disorienting for so many of our professional educators. In New York City, for example, we were told on Friday, we're not closing schools. We were told on Saturday, we're not closing schools. We were told on Sunday morning, we're not closing schools. And we were told on Sunday evening, schools are closed. And that kind of whiplash that we are experiencing gives very little time to do the essential pedagogical, thoughtful, critical work of translating or transposing what we would do in person to what we can do remotely. And I think I would also just draw attention to that many schools are able to go from in-person to online, but many schools are not. Some of the schools that we work with at the center are working with students who are in transitional housing or who experience housing insecurity. They're working with students who don't have devices or are not connected to the internet. All of those challenges make remote learning or distance learning that much more difficult, and to do it within the period of just a few days, the task is overwhelming. Our website has a support survey. If you are an educator, you know an educator, it's posted here and it's called COVID Support. What do you need? A short letter that I've written to our community of educators and also connected to a survey that educators can respond to. Parents can respond to it to tell us what you need. At CPET, our main priority is meeting the needs of educators that we work with, and we customize all of our support to meet those needs. And that's what we want to be doing here as well. From a university standpoint, we also closed our doors very, very quickly, sent our students home, and or asked them to stay on campus if they didn't have anywhere else to go. And all of our classes and all of our in-person events are transitioning online as well. And so everybody is having to make this transition, and it is both overwhelming and it's also exciting because there are a lot of opportunities that are going to come with these obstacles.
Thank you for sharing that. What has been the thing that has surprised you most about this 2-3 week period, and what has been the most upsetting generally in terms of dealing with teachers?
I think the thing that has surprised me the most has been the spirit to which the community and especially parents have said, "Oh, okay, what do we need to do?" and have been just so eager to support their kids. And the message has really been, how are we going to continue the learning process at home? And not, well, they'll just learn when they get back to school. We recognize that this may or may not be a short-term experience. It may be a longer-term experience. So everyone sort of collectively, not just here in New York, but around the world, has said, okay, what can I do for my kids? And the benefit of that is that we're seeing parents more involved and more engaged in their kids' education than ever before.
Thank you. Let's bring in our other speakers, our teachers. If you're just joining us, you're watching a global conversation about teachers as we salute them on this, my 19th show of my COVID-19 calls. You have their Twitter handles. Please ask them a question on Twitter. Please follow them on Twitter, but on whatever platform you're in now, tag a teacher, tag a parent so that they can say thank you to these folks and ask questions. And we're going to just bring in some questions here. A question has come in for Andria from our friend Vikas Pota, who used to run the Global Teacher Prize, which you won. And he says, tell us how important the arts are in this lockdown era.
This is a fantastic question, Vikas. Thank you for asking it. How is it important? Well, the arts are the subjects which heal, which help young people to be happy, or everyone, not just young people, everyone to be happy, which helps us to breathe, which helps us to think creatively, which will basically get us through this. So as well as my only fear is that we are really drumming quite a lot and pushing the online learning, and it's just making sure that teachers and education institutions are making sure that we are actually making sure that we are having creative time, art time, cooking time, playing time built into our curriculums. But I think it's definitely the arts that's going to get us through this.
And what is your day-to-day dealing with the arts? Is it hard to teach the arts remotely compared to in person, I presume?
To be honest with you, really honest, I'm not enjoying it as much as I normally do, because I love the art room as an environment to teaching. But we're trying the best we can. Obviously, I'm having to think of ways of teaching that setting activities that is not, do online research or do online this or do online that. It's really thinking outside of the box. What materials, what resources do the students have at home? What can they make at home? So it is making me work harder, which is a good thing, and making me really think outside of my comfort box. And I think again, it's the new things that we're going to be learning from undertaking this particular period of time is what I think is going to be quite inspiring when we come out of this.
Thank you. I'm just showing on screen here some of the photos of you as the winner of the Global Teacher Prize, and we can just have you kind of remember some of these moments. Award you're holding that. So talk about what it was like to win the Global Teacher Prize.
Oh my God, Sree, it's like a dream now, isn't it? It is without a doubt. Okay, I'm going to talk quite quietly now because hubby is in the room and daughters are upstairs. But it definitely was the best moment of my life.
Tell us about the prize and how it came about and what you had to do to win it, etc.
So I was nominated, and I was selected from 35,000 applications from approximately 170 countries throughout the world. And I still don't really know how I have come to where I've come or why I was selected, but I'd like to think that it's the fact that I'm an art teacher, and I passionately feel that the arts are one of the most important subjects that every child, every person should be undertaking from day 1 to day 100. And it's the subject that has really transformed many of the lives of the young people in my school.
That's great. And you got to do some fun things, right? You got to come to New York, and you got to...
I met you, Sree. That was the best part. I got to meet you and hang out with you.
Oh, thank you. And this is the moment where it was announced. Trevor Noah announces the prize. Their finalists are brought to Dubai in this really fun party, and they treated teachers like rock stars. That's what they were trying to do, and say, if we can do that. What do you think the legacy of the prize has been for you and for your school and for England in importance of teaching?
Fundamentally, it's really changed my school. It's changed the atmosphere. It's made my students really proud of where they are, the teachers really proud of where they work. You know, nobody knew who we were 2 years ago. Parents would cross over the other side of the road. Students would not be proud of attending the school, but now they are. Now they're proud of wearing the uniform. People visit us. You know, we've had celebrities come to visit our school, and I don't actually think they knew where we were on the map. It's been life-changing for our young people. It's been life-changing for me. I mean, the opportunities I've had, the people I've met, the way that I feel have helped to increase and raise the profile of the arts in education, how important it is. I think that's the thing which I'm really proud of.
Oh, thank you. That's so great to hear. You don't know that I have this, but in my home, I have a framed photo of you. And if you can all look carefully, you can see this is a selfie that Trevor Noah took of her. Behind her, you can see very closely is Al Gore, Jennifer Hudson, Charlize Theron. Who else there? There's so many stars. The very tall gentleman is Vladimir Klitschko, Lewis Hamilton, the race car driver. I'm
But
sorry?
they're my besties. They're my besties.
Yeah, they're all your
just
besties. And my job was to help Trevor Noah take this photograph. I never published it, but I have all these pictures of teaching Trevor Noah how to take an epic selfie. And you can't quite see, but behind are thousands of people, 4,000 people in that room at that moment. And it was really, really nice. Aisha says, teachers are rock stars. And that's really something that we all want to celebrate. If you want to learn more about the Teacher Prize, it's globalteacherprize.org. And please follow our wonderful speakers, Andria, Maureen, and Roberta. We've got lots of questions coming in, so let's get to them. Here is a question from Mark, who asks about how are students reacting to losing graduations and standardized testing?
Yeah.
These may not be your particular years, but if you have any thoughts on that, my children were ready for the SAT the night before it got canceled. And they're in 11th grade, so it's not like losing your senior prom and graduation, but it's so hard. Who would like to take that?
We had, I'll never forget the day when we were told the examinations were going to be cancelled for our year 11s and year 13, so our 18-year-olds and our 16-year-olds. And I would think, people would be celebrating, but actually there were students crying and teachers crying because they've worked so hard and so far and they've got nothing to show for it now. So it's this kind of sense of not having any closure, not knowing what they're worth. And I think this has been a really interesting few weeks just to monitor them and just to make sure that their mindsets are okay, that their mental health is okay, and just to reassure them that there'll be other opportunities. But again, we've not had much guidance from our government of what the next steps are. So you would think that everyone's celebrating, but they're not really. They've really most of them have really struggled because they've worked so hard. We've all been working really hard for this, and it's just stopped.
Yeah, it's really difficult. Chandana Banerjee says, your conversations bring a semblance of normalcy in my life. And she's tagging her friend, who might also be a Greek last name there.
Yeah, I think so.
Patty, and is the awesome teacher behind my son, watching from Montauk, Long Island. Folks, why don't we do this? Why don't we name the teachers we admire? That would be kind of fun in the comments, and I'll give them a shout out on screen right now. I think that would be a lot of fun. So please do that. Also, Rose Horowitz is tweeting live, and Rose is helping with the production. We really appreciate her. Rose Horowitz 31, she's live tweeting. So please go in and share and reshare the tweets that she's doing. That will be really cool. So let me ask Maureen that question about what happens when we're losing these particular things that we're used to as part of our annual academic cycles. Even middle school graduations are gone, right, this year?
Right. We have a moving up ceremony, and I know that for the middle school student, none of them were too upset about missing a standardized test, I can assure you, because that's not really a milestone to them. It's more like, oh my gosh, school's almost over. I guess that's the good thing. But just knowing many of my students that are seniors and juniors that I had when they were in middle school, and just conversations with them, and very much like Andria said, it's kind of devastating a little bit. They've been working so hard for so long, both in academics and in their extracurriculars. Art shows that are canceled. The night that our students were supposed to perform Legally Blonde, it got canceled. And there are other milestones that school provide in the arts that are huge to some of those students. And it's kind of like the rug's pulled out from under them. But God love them. They're so resilient. And they're like, well, you know what? Just ready for next time. And I took a filming of it. And they're just so hopeful. And they're really got just great outlooks that helps inspire those others around them that might be kind of feeling a little low. Sports seasons that I think at our high school, we had 2 that were supposed to go to the state championships and then just canceled. And I was talking with one of my students who was a senior who was for 4 years, they've been going and they've never quite made it. And he said, you know what? There are worse things. It's okay. Because it's the end of high school. It was going to end anyway. But he's sad. He's very, very sad, but he's so positive and just like, well, college is coming. It'll be great there. So I just give it so much credit. And
yeah,
just
I hear you. Look on screen. People are shouting out their teachers. Compton Mahays, was one of my son's favorite teachers at Fieldston. We're still in touch. Terry-Ann Thompson says that. And Jonathan is shouting out Tad Moselle, my writing teacher at university, and Jane Merkel, his thesis advisor. And look at Arlene, my 5th and 6th grade teachers from PS 306 in Brooklyn, Mrs. Josephine Flanagan and Mrs. Alyssa Nelson, who inspired my creativity. That is so awesome. Roberta, as you hear this, you're from the center that, works on educating teachers, right? At Teachers College, one of the great institutions here in New York. Why do people make these connections with teachers? How do we make them? And what is that lasting influence we have, sometimes going decades and decades?
The teacher is likely to be the first adult other than your parents who's taking a concerted and long-lasting interest in you as a child. Our teachers bring children new perspectives, new understandings, and a care from someone who isn't a direct family member, and that is extremely profound. Teachers also expose us as young people to they expose our curiosity, they expose us to new ideas and to new fields of interest, and in those ways we actually find ourselves. So our teachers are kind of conduits even to our own identity. And I think that that's one of the reasons why having a teacher that you can really care and trust and that cares and believes in you is one of the most pivotal factors in increasing student achievement and satisfaction in school.
And do you see that being enhanced by this crisis in some fashion, in some kind of weird way, that the distance is going to make it more special?
In some ways, that is exactly the thing that we need to lean on in this crisis. We may be doing distance learning and remote learning, but we should be as hands-on as ever. We should be as high, metaphorically speaking, high touch as possible. One of the things I've been advising our schools to do is not just have an academic plan of action for our students, but actually to also have a social and emotional plan of action for our students. Mm-hmm. Consider the obstacles that we're facing as potentially new opportunities. So what can we do? Even if we can't meet in person, what can we do? And coming at it with that approach, we might realize that we don't have to cancel as many things as we thought. Maybe we can just change the shape of them.
I like that. That's a good way of thinking about it. We also are getting comments here. Is Joe's thanking Arthur Green, science teacher from IS 227 Edward B. Shallow School in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, circa 1980, and Mr. Lustig from John Dewey High School. How wonderful is that? I want to give a shout out to my teacher at PS6, a wonderful woman named Dorothy Donovan, who changed my life in so many ways. I was a young immigrant kid who arrived in New York, didn't know the ways of America, and she really took me under her wing, especially in that second year I was with her. And she would take us from, I was in school across the street from the Metropolitan Museum, and she would take us to the Met and say, you can't go to school a block from the Met and not go every week. And so she would take us there for science, history, math, and art classes.
Amazing.
When I went to work at the Met 35 years later, I found that she had put her money where her mouth is. She was on the cover of a fundraising drive magazine because she had given her savings in an annuity to the Met.
Wow.
The public school teacher in New York City. What a generous, incredible thing. We reconnected and have been friends, and I've not been in touch in the last couple of years. This is going to force me and nudge me into reaching out to her. Folks, we are thanking everybody who is teaching, who has been our teacher. We have lots of folks jumping in here. Hope Hudson says, TC grad here, which is great, Teachers College. Moed 417, thank you for all you do. And Kalpana says, beautifully said by this teacher, there are conduits to our identity. I had a math teacher who made me so diffident that it took me years to get back to mathematics. Kudos to those passionate teachers who care so much about their students. I think that is really cool. Mark doesn't quite remember his English teacher's name, but it's somebody who inspired him, and that's okay too. My teacher, Jamie says, my sister, who got a bachelor's degree in December 2019, and received a proper education at that time and is now close to getting a master's degree, is back at home. Our final commencement is pending a reschedule, but it's been hard for us to reconcile with that major change. So just hearing all these stories, how do you feel as you hear them, folks? Please jump in.
This is going to be a real time period of a lot of loss and a lot of grieving. And as you mentioned earlier, the end of the school year, the spring into the summer session is pivotal for so much of how we kind of live our lives, kind of dictated by that school schedule. ACTs and SATs, college prep courses, college admissions, end of year exams, and then, prom, senior dinners, awards nights, talent shows, all of those things are things that help us to connect with the traditions of schooling and usher us from one space into another. COVID-19 is creating a space where there's a lot of physical unrest, but there's a lot of emotional unrest too, as many of us will feel robbed of these experiences that we had really counted on.
Yeah, thank you. So we're just going to do a kind of station break. We're just over halfway through, and we're so grateful to everybody who's here and supporting us and listening to us as we talk about such interesting and important issues. Thank you so much for being here. Please follow at RL Kang, at Maureen Tyra 1, and Andria Zaf on Twitter. Let me reset and welcome everybody to edition 19 of our COVID-19 webcast. It's a global conversation. I'm your host, Sreenivasan. I'm the Marshall Loeb Visiting Professor of Digital Innovation at Stony Brook School of Journalism. Our guests are Dr. Roberta Lenger Kang, the Director of the Center for Professional Education of Teachers and at Teachers College at Columbia. Maureen Tyra is a teacher at a public school in Ridgefield, Connecticut. And Andria Zafirakou is at the Alperton Community School in London, and she's the winner of the 2018 Global Teacher Prize. I want to also shout out our first ever sponsor, SownSocialMediaSolutions.com. Check them out because here is a very meta ad. The company has launched a live stream class, so you can learn how to live stream. It's called Survive with Live Video. And it's a founder members program along with 6 other professionals who have already signed up. The host is live streaming expert Tim Sohn, S-O-H-N. You can see the website on your screen right now. He's a co-host of the Tim and Jim Show and the Family First Show, and it starts Monday, April 16th. So if you like what I'm doing here, if you're curious, how do I do this? How do I do this global show out of my apartment in Manhattan? How do I go on these multiple platforms, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn? How am I doing that? If you're curious, there's a course for you. And what you can do is go right now onto SownSocialMediaSolutions.com and sign up for the class. The prices are so low because you'll see that he's offering a sliding scale of what you can pay, and you can check that out on the website at SownSocialMediaSolutions.com. And I'm delighted to partner with him and honored to partner with Tim. So thank you, Tim, for supporting us. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Please give a shout out to your favorite teacher right now. We're going to bring that teacher's name up on the screen. Joe says, shout out to the fine Forsyth County schools here in Georgia. Everyone gets a Chromebook in class, and every class is equipped with a smart board. And we have another proud Teachers College graduate here. That's really cool, at MOED417. And our friend at Anti-TEM on Twitter, Tammy Allen, says, none of us are surprised she became a teacher. She is so dedicated. She's talking about a few of her classmates. A few of her classmates from St. Lawrence O'Toole in Brewster, New York are on the call. Hi, everybody. Wave to Maureen. There she is. Isn't that really cool? And Diane says, not a school teacher, but an editor at the New York Post, Jerry Tallmer, since deceased, who taught many Cub reporters what the creative process of writing is all about. And Paul Collins Stipp says, great show, folks. How nice is that? It's so great to get all these comments and have them all come in. And Steve is thanking the sponsor. Tim Sohn is awesome. I've learned so much from live streaming with him. So please do check out the first ever sponsor we have and his course on live streaming at SownSocialMediaSolutions.com. All right, back to our teachers. Thank you for being with us. We have another 25 minutes or so. Roberta, question to you. How will this change Teachers College and the way that you work going forward? I'm saying that this COVID-19 crisis is going to change the world. How is it going to change your world?
It's so funny. 2 years ago in 2018, I put a challenge out to my team. I called it Vision 2020. And I joked a lot with a lot of glasses metaphors. And I said, get it, get it. Yeah, they get it. But part of that vision was a belief that we are not going to be on technology less. And in fact, in-person interaction, for all of its benefits, also brings with it a limitation of access. Many people want to participate at Teachers College. They want to learn from the university or with university personnel, but are just physically unable to be there, unable to take a day off of work for professional learning, unable to uproot their lives for a graduate program. And the digital space allows us to break down those physical barriers and create access to learning, to research, to new ideas and to new communities. And so I put a challenge out to my team in 2018 that said, like, we need to have an online component to every in-person service that we do. I had no idea at that time that we would be going through this right now. And as Teachers College closed its doors and said goodbye to its students, and we were asked to work from home, my team looked at me and they said, we're actually ready to do this. And we are having to prototype and we're having to rapidly develop faster than we had anticipated. But by the end of April, we will have an online version of every in-person type of professional development workshop series and even online conferences that we'll be able to host for people. And what we hope is that that the aha moment that we have is that, well, we could have been doing this the whole time. That it's not just in this crisis, and that these opportunities, it's not an either or situation. It's not either in person or online or remote, but rather and.
Okay, that's a really good way of looking at it. We still have some shout outs coming in. She's tagged, Terry has tagged Estelle Moretti, Rosenthal, let's see who else. Bob Anthony tags Nicholas Z. Malakias of Brooklyn Tech, the student newspaper advisor, who encouraged a young photographer to write as well. My pen has been active ever since. Bob was one of the first guests on my show, and Bob's a wonderful technology journalist. And Bob was also the first guest I had on my spin-off show from this on WBAI radio in New York, Saturdays, noon to 2. We talk about helpful, hopeful ideas around COVID-19. Please join us, WBAI, noon to 2 Eastern time. Here's Patricia Kitchen, former teacher and journalist. She says, Mrs. Kane, Miss Belcher, high school English, French teachers, don't remember ancient history teacher's name, Professor Blanche, Northeastern University, medieval literature. You can see I go for the real practical stuff. I love that. And Corey says she's giving a shout out to Ann Norton, an English teacher we lost this year. I'd love to hear each of you talk about your teachers. Who has inspired you in your career as a teacher or a teacher of teachers? Andrea?
Do you know, it's really interesting because I've recently been reflecting on a teacher that I've had when I must have been about 6 years old, and her name was Mrs. Matar. And the reason why I think I remembered her was because the little things, the kindness which she gave me when I was a young child in the classroom, and just the way the way that she decorated her classroom, the way that she was so inviting, the way that she really embraced the whole community, the whole class, and made us feel like a small family. I think that I've reflected on that quite recently, and it just really moved me. So a massive shout out to Miss Matar. But I think somebody who I'll never forget, and that was my music teacher, Mr. Odyssey, who is still with us now. And the reason why is because he was the type of teacher which just was inspirational. He was wild, you never knew what was coming. You were terrified to go into his class just in case he picked on you to sing. But whatever he taught us, we all remembered. And I think that was what was quite unique about that individual.
Yeah, thank you. It was great to hear that. We have some more folks shouting out their teachers, and Rose Horowitz is live tweeting. Vandana_Menon is also live tweeting. So shout out to them for helping out. And Rose is remembering her teacher. I tagged the best English middle school teacher who expertly taught all of all 4 of my children at Western Public Schools. First, shout out to Rose for having 4 kids. And then her name, Dana Benzoni Getz, and the fab Morris music teacher. So that's really nice. Thank you all for doing this. Mark says Michelle Green is a big teacher advocate. Diana Rohini Levine is watching. Thank you to educators that are forward thinking. We need more of this. Academia always seems 2 steps behind, like the government. Ooh, them's fighting words there, Roberta. What do you say about that?
Well, I will shout out my favorite teacher.
Oh, sorry, just before that, how do you react to? I see you just passed that along. You pretended you didn't hear that.
Well, you know, academia can be slow to change. And part of the thing that's really useful in all types of learning is that the best learning environments are informed by the students and by the teachers, that it's both who do the teaching, that when the students can teach the teachers and teachers can teach the students, then there's learning that's happening at all ends. I'm really excited about the ways in which Teachers College is innovating in spaces like this, as well as in other traditional methods of research, but also exploring media literacy, exploring digital literacy, and exploring the ways in which our culture is evolving. At the Center for Professional Education of Teachers, we're really focused on continuing our research in 21st century skills and understanding how those skills translate into education practices. We have a framework for 21st century learning called the Global Learning Mindsets, and those are really designed to help teachers think about how we can be educating students for the 21st century. So I think that we are doing some leading edge things, but there's always more to learn and more to do.
Sure. And your favorite teacher?
So I would be remiss if I did not shout out my mentor and the founder of the Center for Professional Education of Teachers, TC Professor Ruth Vins. She was my advisor when I joined TC for my master's degree, and then she was the sponsor of my dissertation and the founder of the center and my ultimate mentor. So mad props to Ruth.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Maureen, how are you feeling? What are you thinking as you hear all of these comments?
Well, I'm just reflecting on what Roberta just said, and we were talking on taking an additional informational technology master's right now, and the timing couldn't have been better because I've learned so much in that course to help me go forward. And one of the assignments I was reading was about educating for life, not for school. And this has allowed me this time is that I'm really able to connect students individually now through this, because I can send a lesson to one student. And I saw you have a picture with Steve Van Zandt there. I went to his Teach Rock website and found a great lesson. I'm a social studies teacher, but I can tailor it to say, okay, we're going to create a time capsule of what it's like during this crisis. And you're going to do a digital time capsule. And so I'm having this one student who I know is really into School of Rock, and he's a participant in that. And I say, design a distortion pedal. And that was straight off of the Teach Rock website, but it's something that's specific to that student. And this is allowing me to do that. As a social studies teacher, it's not sitting in front of a book. It's like, go out and interview your parents about your culture and create this digital time capsule. What are you doing each day? Or we use the mood meter. I have that every day as part of my assignment. Check in with yourself. Take a deep cleansing breath. Where do you feel you are emotionally? So these opportunities, I'm not in a class with 26 kids at once anymore. These are sometimes individual conversations, and it's really, I kind of love it, but there's kind of a hole in my heart because I really miss seeing the kids and that fun of sitting and doing circle time and, hey, how's your day going? What do you do this weekend? And I miss it. I know the students miss it. But this distance opportunity is a different one. And I'm happy for the good that can come out of it.
Yeah, so I want to tell everybody about teachrock.org, which is a wonderful standards-aligned arts integration curriculum that uses the history of popular music and culture to help teachers engage. And this was founded by Steve Van Zandt, Little Stevie, you know, from the E Street Band. And look at the board: Martin Scorsese, Jackson Brown, Bruce Springsteen, and Bono. That is one amazing board. And Steve Van Zandt came to speak at Social Media Weekend, my flagship event, a couple of years ago, and he rocked the house, obviously, but his love for music as a way of teaching the history of the world and his teaching history of America, pop culture, this wonderful thing. So everyone should check out teachrock.org. Among the other things he did was when he went on tour, he also gave free tickets to teachers who could come, and he gave a master class on music education to those teachers who came free to the concert. Before that, he did a master class. Many of you who don't know Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band may know him also as Silvio from the HBO show Sopranos, and my favorite Netflix program of all time, the very first Netflix original. I don't know if anyone here has seen it. It's called Lilyhammer, and it's about a mob boss who goes undercover. He's offered a witness protection anywhere he wants in the world, and he remembers seeing Lillehammer during the Olympics in Norway, and he says Lilyhammer, and so it's called Lilyhammer. And it's a wonderful, now really old show on Netflix, and that's also a function of time and how things have changed. Jamie says Stephen Van Zandt was amazing at Social Media Weekend, and it's great to see that. Drew says, thank you for this session. Teachers matter. I'm part of the Global Teachers Prize Academy, and I've met many of the finalists over the years. I remember voting for Andria, is one of those and Armand Duchette is one of the rock star teachers. He has done a ton of innovative things in his classroom, and I know that there are so many people who want to talk more about teachers. I think it'd be a good idea to do another session about teachers in the weeks ahead. Unfortunately, it looks like this is going to be a long-term situation. By the way, we just saw the grim news that the U.S. Just announced its one-day tally, and that tally broke yesterday. It's a record today, and it was a record yesterday, and a record before that. We also see England is in the same situation. And are you finding that students are reaching out to you outside of Zoom and other traditional, or not traditional, mandated ways of communicating? Andria, are people reaching out to you?
Yeah, they do. They miss you, and it's just the reassurance that they can connect with you because you are their daily Monday to Friday. So even silly little questions which they ask, but it's just that they're reaching out. And I think there's not one teacher who's not thinking about their students, especially the vulnerable ones. Are they okay? Are they safe? What's happening? How are they coping? Because there isn't an end period, which I think is a frustrating thing. But yes, we are. There's lots of communication taking place, which is the good thing. Thank God for the resources that we have at this moment in time.
You're so right. And I was saying to my own kids that, this feels like we're at war, and we're at war with the virus, but our electricity and our internet is still in place, right? Think of the families in Syria and in Afghanistan, where they're in actual war and no internet, no electricity, no food, all of that. So I think, if nothing else, at least for some folks who are untouched by reality in some cases, this has made it much more real for them, and understanding what other people, the have-nots in the world, are suffering from. I think that's important. Armand has joined us. I know that Andria knows him. They were both part of that wonderful Global Teachers Prize, and thanks. Would love to participate. Andria, you rocked it. Wonderful.
Absolutely.
We're going to get together. And Steve says, I've been producing and co-hosting a stay-at-home storytime broadcast using the StreamYard platform. Follow Parks Alliance Read Along hashtag to learn more. How nice is that? People are just so generous and giving now. I found that. Roberta, have you I'm sure your former students or graduates of your program who are now teaching music online, and are there also like high school musicals performing online for like celebrities? There's like things we never thought of are happening now.
That's right. We hear that necessity is the mother of invention, right? Like when we can't do it in the way that we're typically prepared to do it, we have to think about other ways to do it. The week that schools closed, my son was supposed to he had a speaking role in his middle school play. And, the kids had been working up to it for weeks and weeks and weeks. But I know that they've been connecting, and they're talking about doing readings on Zoom, and also maybe making different contraptions where they can put it together as a film. We're potentially launching it in the fall. So we're seeing people be really creative, and I think generous is the right way to frame it. Resources flying around, and many companies who are typically for-profit companies are offering free subscriptions to their services during this time to support both teachers and parents.
Folks, we have a couple of minutes left. Shout out your teachers. Thank these wonderful folks for joining us. 2 teachers and a professor and a teacher of teachers. I want to ask each of them as we start to wind up here to share their favorite moment that convinced them that teaching was the right decision they made. Each of them could have gone in a different place. So I'll give them a second to think about that. And also, if you could leave us with something uplifting, something hopeful for people watching who may be feeling a little down. Several people say that they come to see my show every day as something that uplifts them. And I say, no, it uplifts me. And that's why I'm doing it. So I want to start with Maureen. Maureen, how did you know you made the right call to be a teacher?
Well, first I have to give my shout out because I didn't get to say that Sister Antoine, my 2nd grade teacher, I actually thought I had to become a nun to be a teacher. Was relieved that was not the case. And then also my calculus professor in high school, Joe King, he was fantastic. And even though I'm a social studies teacher, math is still one of my favorite subjects.
That's awesome. Thank you.
When did I want to become a teacher? I think it was 2nd grade. I think it was Sister Ann and just the classroom atmosphere that she set up and the stations and the movement and the energy and the excitement that she had. And even making a 2nd grade student feel like she was smart enough, that she was someone that was worthy of having a voice and being listened to. So, and of course, my mom and dad, the best teachers in the whole wide world.
Oh, thank you. And anything uplifting you want? I mean, that was a great uplifting story, but anything you want to leave us with? What gives you hope? What gets you through the day, these next several weeks and months in some cases?
People just like you all. The ability to connect with other people is so important. And the joy and the spreading and everybody, it seems like we sometimes in our schools get a little bit in a rut, but everybody's coming online and we're talking to each other. And did you try this? And did you try that? And so I think just the coming together of everybody, like we're all in this together and we're going to make it because we're not going to, the alternative is not an option.
Great. Thank you. And that was, I want to just thank Maureen Tyra, who is joining us from Connecticut. Where are you in Connecticut exactly? From Manhattan? So people have an idea.
To drive into Manhattan. My daughter lives in Harlem. It takes me an hour to get to her.
An hour. And if you were driving now, it would be 25, 30 minutes, unfortunately.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I guess downtown Manhattan, it's about an hour and 20.
Right. I got it. Just a shout out to Mr. Paul Spandoni, ELA and journalism, teaching faithfully and caring enough to tell me the truth. What a wonderful tweet from @GFaithLittle. Love that. And Laura says, many in my family are teachers. Teachers are simply the best. Mark says, amazing, great show, amazing guests. I've had mad respect for teachers and vital part of my family lineage. As always, I would love to have these folks on my podcast. So there you are. You already have an invitation to another podcast with Mark Lee. Please tweet he'll tweet at you, I'm sure, and find you. And Shobana says, Maureen, the 2nd grade teacher, thanks you for shouting out your 2nd grade teacher. And that's amazing to be inspired in 2nd grade, right? That's pretty cool. So let's go to Andrea. Andrea, your thoughts on how you knew you made the right call to be a teacher, and then what gives you hope and uplift now?
That particular feeling I probably experience every day, but I think recently I experienced something which really gave me that lovely, warm, fuzzy feeling in my stomach. And that's when I was actually interviewing somebody for a job in my school for a maths position. And I actually taught them. I was their teacher. I was their head of year. And that was just beautiful to see how it's just come around again. So that made me really, 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 really reflect on just how beautiful this whole profession is and how inspirational it can be and change lives. And I just think that Maureen just said it beautifully right at the end. She said how we're all going to be through this together. I think we're a part of a huge, massive part of history now. And I think we've just got to make sure that we look after each other and care for each other and just try and be positive to get through this. And now is the time for change. Now is the time to self-reflect. Now is the time to try that different thing. Now is the time to kind of make that life-changing decision that you're frightened to make. Because I don't think we're ever going to have an opportunity like this just to pause and reflect.
Thank you. That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Andria. You're joining us at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night.
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. You're awesome. And I'm sure you
Good night.
You have things to prepare for. So I'll let you go if you have to, folks. That's Andria Zafirakou, who is an amazing teacher. How amazing? She was voted the world's best teacher as Global Teacher Prize winner. Do check out Global Teacher Prize to learn more about that and the program. And it isn't obviously that everyone's going to win, but you've got to be in the game. She was nominated. 30,000 teachers from 170 countries participated, and what an honor. But the idea behind it was what's wonderful, that you're trying to shine a showcase and spotlight on teachers, which is absolutely welcome and wonderful. So thank you very much, Andria. Over to you, Roberta. Roberta Lenger Kang is the director of the Center for the Professional Education of Teachers at Teachers College. Go ahead.
I think that the thing that I want to think about is that I have an infinite amount of care and compassion and love for the work, and I have an infinite amount of desire, but only a finite amount of time. And so we have to really think carefully about how we use the finite amount of time that we have, and we can spend that time focusing on things that we don't have any control over at all. And we can focus on we can focus on the things that we do have control over. If you think about my time in my day as 100% of a pie chart, how much time do I devote to things that are beyond my control? And how much time do I devote to the things that are in my control? And I think that I want to leave people with the exhortation to focus on the things that are in our control, things that keep us safe mentally, things that can keep us safe physically, and things that can keep us connected socially. So if you're alone, sequestering by yourself in a space, making sure that you're taking time to initiate contacts with other friends or family members. And if you have lots of family members around you, making sure that you're getting a little bit of time alone. But these are really uncertain and disorienting times. So anything that we can do to find some even virtual connections. I had a virtual girls' night the other day, and it was everything to me.
I love it. Is anyone dressed up yet for a night out? I know people are doing that. They have the laptops.
Every day.
Look at Steve says, such fantastic advice. So thank you. You guys have been so awesome. Jamie says, thank you everyone for a wonderful live call. It's also recorded. If you're just joining us, you can catch the recording on all those platforms, but do follow me on YouTube and subscribe so you can see the entire archive. 19 straight days of this, and I love every minute. And I'm so grateful to everybody for being here. Roberta, just one question before you go. Geeta talks about how she was a physics teacher for 7 years, and she's learned so much from it, and her students are still in touch. Are there still programs that you recommend that people try, even if they don't want to make it a career? Teach for America, there's Teach for India, there's versions of that. I'd also love to hear if Andria knows of any in Europe, because we're people watching from all over. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's never too late to decide that you want to dedicate your life to supporting the needs of young people and to support the learning of young people. In the U.S., we have Teach for America. In New York City, we have the New York City Teaching Fellows. New York City Men Teach is a program to engage men of color to join the classroom, which is a really powerful it's a really powerful program because representation matters for students to be able to see to see adults who look like them taking on the role of teachers is a really powerful and transformative experience. I believe that there are other similar alternative licensure programs in the UK and in other places, but I also would be remiss if I did not shout out your education colleges. Teachers College, for example, and many other ed programs are fantastic spaces to explore not just the pragmatics of teaching, but the philosophy of teaching, the pedagogy, and to really understand what's happening in the classroom, what's happening in the mind, what's happening in the heart, and what we're trying to do for a long time. So I'm a big fan. If you are teachers, then I believe in 100% in lifelong learning through professional development. Teaching is the ultimate experiential learning. You can't do it, you can't learn it if you're not doing it.
Oh, I love that. And I'm also going to put in the comments so people can see your website, where you have a lot of information for teachers, including a survey for teachers. And maybe we should make sure that our co-panelists know it and share it with their teaching colleagues. And it's cpet.tc.columbia.edu. It's in each of the platforms that I shared, so people can see that. And they can go up, take a look, cpet.tc.columbia.edu. It's not Teachers Pet. It's the Center for the Professional Education of Teachers. Do you do workshops, seminars, things like that for people globally now that it will be more remote? Is that right? So
that's right. We typically provide in-person professional development. All of our in-person services have been transformed to online services. So I had coaching calls today with assistant principals and principals that we work with. All of our live workshops have been translated to online platforms that can be done synchronously and asynchronously. And we're continuing to provide curricular resources that teachers can actually just take for free and then use, and then reach out to us for professional development if they would like to have additional support. All of our services are customized to meet the needs of the people that we're working with. So we'd love to hear from you.
Sure. And please follow these awesome women. They are just terrific. They gave us so much of their time. I'm grateful to each of them. RL Kang on Twitter. Bye, Roberta. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Dinner and all the hard work that you still have to do, I'm sure. At Maureen Tyra 1, thank you so much, Maureen.
Bye, thank you.
At Andria Zaf, thank you so much. Go to bed, get some sleep.
Yeah, be safe, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll let them all step off.
Thank you.
And you please stick around for a minute. The rest of you, I want to tell you about what's coming up tomorrow. We have a fantastic show, and we are going to talk about life under COVID in multiple cities. We're going to go to San Francisco to meet Doug Levy at SF Doug. We're going to go to Michigan, Grand Rapids, to meet Alicia Marie Belchak. We're also going to go meet a friend in Toronto. If you or anyone you know wants to be on the show tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. GMT, life under COVID-19, tell us, just write to me. You have my information on the screen right there. We'd love to have more of you participate and join us as we talk. We also want your suggestions for speakers. Just be part of the family here. I'm so grateful to all of you. And if you want to be a sponsor, we'd love to have you join us for that as well. And I want to thank our first sponsor, Sohn Social Media Solutions. And I'm going to bring onto the screen right now from Sohn Social Media Solutions, Tim Sohn. Hi, Tim.
Hi, everybody.
How are you? Let me just pull you up on the screen right here. I am just so delighted that you could be with us, Tim. Thank you very much. Where are you and what is happening right now?
I am in Northeast Pennsylvania. We are adjusting to our first week of remote learning, remote teaching, running a business, and all that goes with all of that at the same time. Our school district used 10 snow days, while I know many other school districts jumped in much sooner into this whole situation. So it's a week of adjustment for us all.
So, we have people right now watching in warm countries. They're like, what's a snow day? And what does that mean? And what does it do?
Luckily, we haven't had much snow this year.
So what does that mean? So typically that's like a day off that you get in an American school that in a warmer place, it's saved for like, really bad rain days or something like that, right? And so you're able to delay the start of school, is that right? After spring break or something? Is that the reason they did that, or they shortened the school year?
Well, what they did was the last 10 days before this week, they use snow days. So we usually typically get 9 or 10 snow days a year that are built into the calendar because we typically get a decent amount of snow up here. So for 2 weeks before this week, our children weren't in remote learning, at least through the school. We were, having them do some different math things in English and and things like that. But officially this week, remote learning has begun through the school district.
Very nice. And so I want to thank you just as a fellow business owner for all the support you've given me and our friendship for many years. And when I said I need a sponsor, you jump right in. I'm so grateful. And there's your address on the screen. And tell us about this Survive with Live video. I know so many people have questions about what I'm doing right now and how I'm doing it. So if you can explain what the course is and what they will get for studying with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Survive with Live video is what I'm calling a founders members course. It begins next Monday. The program is designed for anyone, whether you're a business owner, a marketer, an entrepreneur, anybody who wants to learn how to create a live video show, one that is consistent. So whether it's once a week, once a day, like Sree, whatever the situation is. So we will have a community together in a Facebook group, and we will walk through everything from how to get past the fear of going on video to what the heck should I talk about on video, to the tech. We'll be talking a little bit about StreamYard, the amazing tool that Sree uses here on his programs, and also how to promote live video shows so people actually show up and engage and they reach people. And also the most exciting part is we're actually going to launch your show during this 2-month program. And I and the other members will be providing feedback during the program. So that's the part I'm most excited about, that we're not just going to be talking, we're actually going to be taking action during this program.
I'm just looking at that pricing there, Tim. That's a very generous pricing, a 2-month course for $100 to no cost. What does that mean exactly?
So it means what it says. It's, given the times that we're all living in, I know there's a lot of stress. People are in all sorts of situations. So how this program will work is each week there will be a recorded video that I will send to you guys that will be on a certain topic. There will be homework, and then we will go live each week for an hour to answer any questions you guys have and review your guys' videos. But the pricing is exactly what it says.
Very generous, and thank you for advertising on our program. I'll never forget our first advertiser. Very, very grateful. What if I don't, so it starts on Monday, so what's the deadline to sign up? What if I hear about it on Tuesday or a week from now? How can I catch up? What happens?
Yeah, so preferably you sign up by Sunday. I will be launching more groups for this program in the near future. So if you are interested, definitely get in touch, and I will keep you posted about what's going on in the future, but definitely see it as an ongoing program.
And so give us your Twitter, your Facebook, your Instagram. How can people get in touch with you?
Sure. So you could email me at tim@sohn. That's SOHN. Thank you for spelling it out during the sponsor messages, Sree. Socialmediasolutions.com. On Twitter, I'm at Sohn, SOHN, social media. Facebook, just search for Sohn Social Media Solutions. And the same for Instagram as well.
Nice. And so Mark asked what time Monday, so explain the mechanics of this, and then we got to wrap up.
Yeah, so Monday I'll be sending out an email, an introductory email, as well as with a recorded video of our first topic, and then we'll go from there. So just like
before you go, I'm going to get some free education from you, so people get a sense of what you do. First of all, you threaten people with homework, so that I'm a little scared of, but I know it'll be great. But look at the lighting in your space there. It looks really good, the way you've lit it. Are you doing something specific? I know you'll cover this, but what's a quick, a lot of people are on these Zoom calls all day, and I see them first, they're sitting too close, or they're badly lit, or the audio is not clear. So a couple of quick things so people see you know your stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm using a ring light, and the one that I'm using is the brand, I guess you say it Neewer, Neewer, and it's an 18-inch ring light. It's pretty gigantic and it provides a lot of light. So that's the lighting I have. I also use.
Sorry, I'm showing you one that I have. Something like this, right?
Yes, but bigger, but the
Oh.
same
Okay.
concept. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is only an 8-inch one, so yours is a different dimension. So.
Oh, maybe it's bigger. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is.
I also use a Blue Yeti microphone, and I use a webcam that's it's the Logitech C920. Yeah, so that's my setup here.
Awesome. I love that, and love about hearing about the setup. And one of the things I want to do is, before we go, just give you a chance to remind everyone why they should sign up. And again, the cost is $0 to $100. It's so generous. It's worth so much more than that. But you're being so kind and helping people at this moment. And I want to add that if you think I can be of help in any way to your students, I will gladly do an extra session with them as a closed group if it's considered a bonus and not a punishment to your students.
Oh, thank you, Sree. I would be honored. That would be amazing.
Okay, great. So, folks, that was Tim Sohn of Sohn Social Media Solutions offering a 2-month course on live video that you can sign up for right now. Go to his website, get the live streaming course, and the price is $0 to $100. I think you're going to like it so much you'll want to get all your friends to sign up. Please tag them. Please share this right now so that they can sign up at Sohn Social Media Solutions. So thank you very much, Tim. I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to also just remind everybody of our show tomorrow, which is Life Under COVID-19. We have some fabulous guests. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate your time and attention. And it means so much to me that you are with us here today and every day, 19 straight days. I'm so grateful. I see my wife there working super hard and making dinner for the family while I'm doing these digital shenanigans, the only shenanigans I'm allowed. And she's so tolerant. Thank you, Rupa. And thank you to my kids. And thank you to all of you. I'm so grateful. Please share this. Please tag your friends. Tomorrow, 5 p.m., we are going to be here Eastern Time, Life Under COVID-19, San Francisco, Michigan, Toronto. If you'd like to join us, let me know. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you again. I'm Sreenivasan. Email me, sree@sree.net. Subscribe on YouTube, Sreenet. Bye-bye.